Hello everybody, welcome to Neighborhood Mechanic. Well, I got a Audi. Alright, so I had the air filter taken out and it looks like the air filter needs to be replaced. As you can tell, it's in very bad condition. What I'm going to do is change the engine oil, and then next thing we have to work on is the front brake rotors and front pads. The pads look very low. So, and the rotors have quite a big edge on it. So that's what we're replacing. Now, if you want to ever check your brake pads, you don't have to take the wheels off. Just take a peek through the wheel opening right here. If my freaking phone focuses. There you go. You can see the actual material of the pad is quite a lot. So we're going to leave the back one alone. Alright, so these brake calipers are a little different than what you're used to watching in my videos. Some brake calipers, like this, have normally the pins going through the caliper, allowing the brake pads to slide on those pins. That system is used in many Audis, many Mercedes, BMWs, Toyota trucks, and so on. This has the front end locked. Normally, there's this clip down here. You can take the clip out by just pushing on this side and prying it. And next thing you need to do is remove the two bolts from here. Before you do that, this caliper is connected with a solid line here up to the mount, and then from the mount is the rubber line. What we don't want to do is bend this solid line. What we're going to do is go back to the mount, which is right here, and remove that clip. So once that clip removes, now you have freed the brake line from this little mount. What we're going to do now is remove the caliper, slowly guide the line out of this hole, and rest the caliper somewhere while we work on it, and this rubber line here will prevent any damage. So back here we have 19mm socket, and let's see, here's a bolt for it. Now, this one is a bit heavy, so you have to, hold on, there we go. So you can see the caliper is loose. If it's a little bit harder, just pull the caliper towards you a little bit to create a little gap between the pistons. And you should be able to take the caliper out. For this one, I do need both hands, so I'll be right back. So here we go. I got the pads out of there, and you have a few ways to push these pistons back in. Use whatever works best for you. What we have here is brand new coated rotors. We have new screw that holds the rotor in place. We got new sensors, and we got Brembo brake pads. They came with their new clips. Look, here's a new pad. A lot of material on it. There's our old pad. Let's use as a comparison. Looks like we do have a correct brake pad. Another thing is, when you're removing the sensor, if you struggle to remove the sensor plug, which is mounted like this, underneath there's a little notch here, and that prevents it from turning around. So you can use a little prong to pull this notch apart and then twist the sensor this way. Do not twist this way. We have to replace the new brake pad sensor. The older brake pad sensor does not have damaged circuit. You can see the pad did not go too far to damage the sensor. However, we're not going to use this. We are going to put new sensors here. Next, what we need to do is clean up the internal caliper. Next, I'm going to try to take the screw out for the rotor. Since we got new ones, we're going to use new ones. And this will go into the pile of souvenirs. Anyway. Okay, here we go. So, screws are not really long. The head's very, I would say very flat. So you don't have a lot of room to catch your socket into it, start head into it. So be careful, don't strip it. Make sure your start head is extremely straight when you turn it. Otherwise, it's easy to strip this guy. And if you strip it, then you would have to drill the head out. Okay, when you're halfway drilling, the heat will help the threads loosen up, and you can easily by hand take it out and put a flathead screwdriver on it. That works for me. Well, the next process, I need both hands. What I'm going to do is try to take the rotor out holding the caliper, put the new rotor back in, and then put the screw back in, tighten it up, put the brake pads in, and I'll show you once the brake pads are in. Alright, so we got the new rotor on. So what I did is I add a little bit of NTCs on the hub area. The reason I did that is I don't want to... You see what this thing is doing? Not good. So try to keep it as straight as you can. Here we go. There we go. So the rotor's on. Try to keep it clean. Now let's put the pads in. What I'm going to do as a protection, just put a little towel over the rotor. So when the caliper rests against it, it stays clean as I get my pads ready. Right, pads are loaded back in. So I hand guided the bolt into the caliper, and caliper's still a little loose. What I did is I installed a clip for the brake line back in. Make sure, because you would have to move the caliper up and around for it to work. The new setup did not came with these clips, so I'm going to clean these, insert them back in. You don't have to remove them, but I did it, and it helped me install the pads a lot easier. So, your choice. I'm going to torque the bolts back up. We got the new sensor. When you install the new sensor, you have to make sure this knot area, right there, is towards the front, facing the brake pad. Because that's where the loop is. So how the sensor works is it has a loop connecting two wires, and once that loop is broken, how it breaks is when the brake pad sensor is really close to the rotor, starts to rub against the rotor, and if it goes on for too long, if it goes on for too long, then the front little loop that you saw will be completely shaved off, and that will eliminate the continuous loop, and it shows the braking system that there's open circuit, and that's how you get a brake light on saying your brake pads are out. It's a very simple setup. Some people don't want to replace this sensor. What they do is they cut the sensor here, connect these two wires together, creating their own loop and letting the system know the brakes are good. The bad part is when your actually brake pads do go bad, you won't be able to tell, and you might need rotors as well. So it's recommended not to do that. However, it's your choice. Okay, I'm going to torque this down. Make sure to keep your rotors clean if you don't want any type of noise or squeak or any problems later on. It's always recommended to cover the rotor with something while you're servicing or repacking the brake pads into the caliper. After this, we're going to put the wheel back on, and this will complete the front brake rotors and pads install on the Audi S4. I think it's 2017. And I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate everyone who watches my videos. If you could just subscribe and like my videos, that even help me even further. I hope I was able to help you take care of your vehicles. You know, brake service saves you some money. And after all, we do YouTube. Anybody does YouTube, so they can not only share what they do and help others. In exchange, of course, YouTube pays you. So I haven't gotten to that point yet, but one day, with all your help. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon. Bye. One last thing I want to show you is if you did take these out, the easiest way to install these so you don't fight with it, you put this underneath. Don't line it up right here. Okay, go inside the caliper. Okay, like that. Push this in like that, Okay, now you have this one. Use any screwdriver behind the clip, pull it up, and you got yourself the clip installed. You can make sure the pads are seated correctly underneath the clip, and that's it.